Good day, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Health Check, where you can stop, take a minute, check in on you. I'm your host, Dr. Vanessa Bolling. So delighted, so blessed, and so honored to be with you this morning, Tuesday, a little after 9 a.m., but that's all right. I pray everyone is doing well. Go ahead, like, and share. As you can see, today's topic is recognizing what we call the food coma and what that means. I pray everyone had an awesome, a phenomenal, peaceful Thanksgiving this past week, whether it was with family members, with friends, whether it was with yourself. If you didn't have the opportunity, go ahead and catch the replay on Comfort for the Holidays. Maybe you've experienced grief, maybe you're mourning. Go ahead and tune in to even last week's live, where we talked about different tips and ways in which you can keep your mind in a good space for the holidays and for the days ahead. Anyways, today's topic, we're talking about recognizing food coma. Good morning. Good morning, everyone tuning in live. I see you. Recognizing food coma. And what does that mean? Well, we just finished the holidays. We just finished Thanksgiving. And this is a common term that tends to be embraced. It's called the itis. We know the full term. Perhaps you're familiar with the full term, but we're going to call it the itis. And a lot of the time, culturally, that's been identified as this is the feeling I have after I had some good eats. This is the feeling I had after I had some good food. And with the itis, we tend to identify it as feeling really tired, feeling really drowsy after we eat. And it's this thing that's culturally embraced that we take in, we normalize, but do we actually really know what it means? And that's what I'm here to talk about today. Good morning, everyone tuning in. Is what is the itis? What is it about? The itis is also correlated with food coma. Food coma, that term food coma. So these are terminologies that we use, the itis, food coma, that identifies what happens after we have really rich, good food. So what happened, we often experience this rather when we eat foods that are high and rich in sugar, high and rich in fat. Those are the two common components. Even high and rich in dairy, we tend to experience these symptoms of the itis or food coma. What does it mean? That's what I'm here to talk about. The medical terminology is postprandial somnolence. There's two terms that I'm going to share with you today. And I want to share with you what happens physiologically in the body when we have the itis or we experience this food coma. Excellent topic after the holidays, right? So postprandial somnolence, that's that extreme fatigue after we have foods that are especially rich in fat and sugar. What is happening in the body when we have the itis, when we have the food coma? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because of the richness of the substance of what we've eaten, whether it be rich in fat or rich in sugar, rich in dairy, the blood flow moves from our brain and it goes to our gut because our body has to work extremely hard to really digest. All that blood flow is shunted from the brain down to the gut to digest, to help. The blood gives strength, the blood gives oxygen, the blood fuels the cellular activity in the gut. So all that blood flow goes to the gut to help with the digestion and the breaking down of this food. And you may find when you have the itis, when you have the food coma symptoms, that thing doesn't shake right away. You might as well go to bed you might as well go to sleep, right? It takes hours. So you can imagine how hard the body actually now has to work to digest that one meal or pieces of meals that we might have had just a few hours ago. It takes hours for this to happen. And you may even find that after you wake up, you don't feel the best. You're still a little groggy. We feel a little tired still, almost like we had Benadryl the night before, right? We can attest to this postprandial somnolence. Postprandial meaning what happens after we eat. That somnolence being that fatigue, that tiredness. It's because all the blood goes from the brain to the gut to help push the digestion that of the food that we just took in. Isn't that interesting? This is what's happening. I think when we know what's happening in our body, we can then better adjust how we do things. Naturally, when we're eating, we're supposed to eat, and that glucose is supposed to help fuel our brain. It's supposed to help with our critical thinking, our ability to be able to reason. So our brain activity should actually be enhanced, not necessarily all the blood shunting from the brain just to the gut. And this is usually when we eat high fat, high sugar, high dairy meals. So it'd be good. We don't want to make a pattern out of this. This is the point that I'm making. We don't want to make a pattern and normalize the food coma or the itis, as we term it. Another concept that happens physiologically in our bodies is that, here goes the word again, postprandial hyperglycemia. What does that mean? That means after I eat, that's that postprandial being eating, hyperglycemia, blood sugar. So after I eat, my blood sugar goes up. And it's not just my blood sugar going up. We expect blood sugar to go up. Food has glucose in it, but it spikes up. Sometimes it spikes 200s, 300s. Usually when the sugar is spiking above 180, we're in that postprandial hyperglycemia. So it's spiking up, rather 180 to 200. It's spiking up. It's over the 200s. Immediate spike that happens, right? That may initially give us a surge of energy. But what happens when anything spikes? What happens when we throw a ball up? It's got to come down, right? It's spiking. The body's going to respond and say, hold up, the sugar is way too high. We need to bring this blood sugar down. So as a result, it pushes a lot of insulin out. The pancreas secretes tons and tons and tons of insulin to bring that high sugar down low enough. So that way the body is not in this acidic and toxic state. When the pancreas secretes that much insulin to bring the blood sugar down immediately, that's where we feel that fatigue. That's where we feel that tiredness. That's where we feel that itis. That's where when we start to identify those feelings of that food coma. I just want to bring light and understanding to what the itis is and that food coma is, that we normalize, we embrace, we accept, we think it's good. But when it happens way too often, can we see how this is correlated to diabetes? The pancreas gets tired. The pancreas gets burnt out. It's not secreting as much insulin. The body's not responding to the insulin as much. Now there's insulin resistance. Now diabetes shows up. Usually it's type 2 diabetes. It shows up from this embraced, normalized concept of, what do we call, the itis or food coma. I hope this was helpful to you today. Let me see what some of these comments says. Yeah, we fall asleep. What else do we crash? Absolutely. And it's not even a crash that just lasts for a few minutes. It's a crash that we need to go to bed. I know I need to go to bed. Now, there are some foods that have the ingredient called tryptophan. Turkey is one of them. So yes, the holidays, you think of Thanksgiving, you think of Christmas, you have turkey. It actually has tryptophan in it. Tryptophan is an ingredient or a substance that's in the turkey that actually causes you to feel a little sleepy. So there are some foods that have tryptophan. They're usually high protein foods that have tryptophan in it, and it can make you a little sleepy. But that sleepiness is not to the extent where you cannot function after. When we've had the itis, when we've had the food coma experience, we can't think. It's hard to think. Don't ask me to make a decision after I ate. You know, let's not have a meeting after I ate all this food, right? Because this is what happens physiologically. We have that postprandial somnolence where all the blood rushes from the brain, goes to the gut, and we have that postprandial hyperglycemia where the sugar just spikes. And then the pancreas is secreting so much insulin to bring that sugar down. So that way we're not in this acidic, toxic state in our bodies. And this is the phenomenon that we call the itis. This is the phenomenon that we call the food coma. This shouldn't happen often in our bodies. And usually when we recognize it, we have to pick and choose what? Life. Do we want to continue to feel this way constantly? And when it's a constant state of being for us, that's when it's not good. That's when we really need to check in with our primary care provider, our specialist, to see what's going on. If you've been diagnosed with diabetes, even if it's been controlled, you still need to continue to check what's going on with your body. How does your body respond to these foods? So go ahead and put hashtag I choose life. If you have any questions, I don't see any listed here, but if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat too as well. I do go back and I do look and see the comments. So go ahead and put hashtag I choose life. Let's choose life by not living in that postprandial somnolent stage. And let's choose life by not living in that postprandial hyperglycemic stage, because what it leads to is not beneficial. It's not life producing. So we want to produce life in our body. Let's not normalize what we culturally have termed as the itis. Let's not normalize it, because there's nothing normal about it. Absolutely nothing normal about it. So let's choose life. We've heard the information. Let's apply it. Let it turn from information to knowledge base. This is something now that's been applied to our knowledge base. Now that it's applied to our knowledge base, it gives room for application in our lifestyle, right? Kingdom Health Connections is a health promotional resource center, helps to cultivate that lifestyle of health, of wellness, of healing, so we can put our bodies in the environment to heal itself. So today we have the choice today between life and death, blessings and curses. I call now on all of heaven to witness the decision that you and I make. Oh, that we would choose life so that we can live, and our descendants, which is our children and our children's children, our family members, can live as well. We want to pass this down through generations. That's from Deuteronomy 30 and 19. Go ahead and put hashtag I choose life. I will see you here again next week, Tuesday, 9 a.m. Something else that I want to also recommend is, now that we're aware of this, let's also be mindful. What are we eating that causes us to feel this tired? What are we eating that causes us to feel the itis? What are we eating that's causing us to now even have this food coma experience? Once we recognize that, that's what needs to be reduced, limited, and even replaced, because there can be a healthier version of what it is that we're consuming that would help us to not feel that way. I don't know about you, but I don't like feeling tired all the time. It's not a good feeling. You don't make good decisions. It's a cyclic pattern that doesn't produce good results. You don't utilize wisdom as well when you feel constantly tired. So go ahead and put hashtag I choose life. Meet me here again next week, Tuesday, 9 a.m. on Facebook Live, the Apostles House page, as well as the Kingdom Health Connections page, Facebook, as well as YouTube. Be blessed, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you here again next week, Tuesday. Bye-bye. Be blessed.